All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Eternal Athletes podcast. We are here to empower athletes to glorify Christ with their game and pursue a life with Him for eternity. I'm Ryan. This is my beautiful wife, Erin. We're current parents, but former players, coaches, and current spectators as well. So we love nothing more than to combine our passion of Jesus and apply it to sports. So, this podcast brings a lot of sports stories to life and brings Jesus to life in a lot of ways. And we have a very special guest on today's episode of the podcast. She is a junior swimmer at Mount St. Mary's College. It's a D1 school in the MAC, the Mid-Atlantic Athletic Conference.
Metro.
Did I say that?
Metro
Atlantic Athletic Conference. Okay, got it right. Okay, so over in Maryland. So she is a junior swimmer over there. She competes mainly in the freestyle, the 5,100 and 200 meter freestyle. She trains like crazy. Like just 12 hours ago, midnight. She was just training and everything. So she's a super hard worker. But what's even more impressive is outside of sports and everything and swimming, her walk with the Lord and her upbringing. We'll get to chat about that and how she applies faith and sports and everything. So I'll stop rambling now. I know you guys just want to hear from our guests. So Madison Murphy, welcome to the Eternal Athletes podcast. How are ya?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Were you cringing when he butchered your conference name? Because
I felt so good saying that too. Yeah. I'm like, I thought I got it.
Sometimes you can be confident and wrong, and that's okay. You just smile and someone will correct you.
Thank you.
But thanks for joining us, Madison. We always like to kind of kick off the beginning of our podcast, just kind of learning about where your faith kind of began, right? Whether that's something that you were born into and you grew up a part of that faith, if that's something that came later and maybe was strengthened as you got older through different hardships or maybe teammates or coaches that helped along the way. But kind of where did it start for you?
It started when I was little. My parents were like married. They both were Catholic, so obviously I went through everything. Actually locally at St. Christine's Church in Youngstown. So I grew up going there. My family was always really big into helping with the church, especially my grandparents. My grandpa helps at the St. Vincent de Paul Society, and they help with like the renewals and just all the little things, decorating the church, helping out. So I kind of grew up around it. I remember my mom sang in the choir, so I would sit there with her after work. She would pick me up. I'd sit in church, listen to them. And then, I don't know, just always going to church. My mom, my dad, and I every Sunday, sometimes early, 7:00 in the morning, sometimes 9, sometimes 4:00 on a Saturday. But that was a constant in my life ever since I've grown up.
That's good. You had some variety. They kept you guessing on when you were going to church.
And then in some extracurriculars by default, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of with your parents.
When I met Ryan, he always told me he thought he was going to marry a woman that sang in the choir. And that was his dream growing up. And you did not achieve that.
You
but that's
do
okay.
a great job.
Oh, I sing. I just, yeah. So then did you go to a Catholic school, like high school too as well? Or...
No, I did not. My parents considered sending me to Catholic high school, just one of the local ones around here, but we lived in Canfield at the time, and that's just where, like, I went to high school, and so where I went, grade school too, so.
Yep, and this is in the Youngstown metro area for our listeners and everything.
Yeah.
So was that different from you going from, like, Catholic elementary school, like middle school, and then going to a school that didn't have, like, a religious affiliation?
I mean, not really. I think when I was younger, I understood it, like the kid side of it to an extent, and then I really did not think much into it. And growing up, I don't know, it was like somewhat part of my high school life, and then I definitely, once I saw I was going to Catholic university, kind of opened up my eyes again. But as I was younger, I probably would say it was like a thought in my mind, but it was never like a huge, like, center point yet.
That makes sense. So, like, you were still going to church, like, still going to mass or doing what you did on weekends with your family, but kind of more just, like, going through the motions, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Basically,
Maybe
so I
throughout
would
the week and
Yeah.
all that. So,
Well,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's normal. I think that happens, I've mentioned that before. I went to church my entire life, but in high
Mhm.
school and stuff, when I was playing sports, my faith wasn't a part of that at that time. I didn't it didn't intertwine, and that's okay. Because it is now. We all have our own timing. We all have our own stories. So when you were in high school swimming, were there any teammates or coaches or anything that you even saw at that time? Because that would be interesting as far as like, did anybody pray before a meet, or was there anybody that you saw outwardly displaying their faith?
Not that I saw. I mean, I would probably say the only person was myself kind of once
Mhm.
I transferred to Boardman. My mom bought me a little prayer cube, and I
Mhm.
would, like, bring it to every meet. And I in high school, even when I first started, I always make the sign of the cross before I get up on the block. It just is a normal thing for me to do, and
Yeah.
I noticed that after I was doing it, some of my teammates started to,
Oh,
but
cool.
before then, it was kind of there was, like, never a conversation of, like, faith or if you needed to do anything, like, I don't really think people were in that mindset of, like, connecting the 2. So
Yeah.
it kinda took, like, one little spark, and then I started noticing, like, other people doing stuff too.
Okay.
That's inspiring. That's awesome. Something simple, but authentic too. I mean, I'm sure you weren't doing it, out of any kind of, I guess, selfish reasons to, force it upon other people. You're just doing it because it was important to you, and maybe try to level set right before you're about to, jump in the pool
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
everything. So
So when you decided too that you were gonna be going to a Catholic university, obviously, I'm sure you knew you wanted to continue your athletic career into college. So what did it look like? Were you looking at other did you know that's where you wanted to go, or were you looking at some other schools and
Yes, I looked at a lot of other schools. I looked at playing golf too.
Okay.
I don't know what I knew that I always wanted to be in the like Maryland, the DMV, so the
Mhm.
DC, Maryland, Virginia area. I knew I wanted to study politics, so I wanted to find a place that, could get me close to DC so I
Yeah.
could follow that dream, and then I would also be able to continue athletics. They were actually the last school that I had emailed back, and my parents actually call this, like, my guardian angel story because the
Mm.
coaches that led me through the recruiting process, I never met him, and he left right before I got to school. But he was just a really he was so excited, and he kinda just sold me on the entire program, and I kinda looked at my parents, and I was like, "I've never met this guy, I don't know what I'm getting into." And they were like, "But you've been led there for a reason, you just have to believe in it, like, you're meant to be there." Like, my, um my mom didn't go to, like, a Catholic high school or a Catholic university. My dad grew up in my parents grew up in this area, so my mom graduated from Boardman, my dad graduated from Ursuline, so my dad had the Catholic upbringing, Catholic all the way through high school. So they were like, "Okay, here's that part there where you're now gonna go to a Catholic institution, you're gonna get that side of it." But they're like, "It's a blessing, and you have to see it through, and, you never know what's gonna happen."
I had chills with the recruiting person. Like, that's cool. Like, you still have never met this person.
I never have. I had numerous phone calls with him. I can remember his voice. I know his name. I just remember he was super kind in all of his emails, and that was like, my parents obviously, like, being in the faith too, they're like, "That is your guardian angel, and you have to
Yeah.
believe in it, and you have to, like, understand it." And
I
that's when, started to, like, ramp up for me.
Yeah.
I I love that, and I love the whole guardian angel story, how we can call it that. I weirdly can kinda relate too, where it's just like you'd actually be surprised. I mean, because the coach that recruited me, I played college football and everything, and I, talked to him, like, a bunch throughout the recruiting process, and even though he was technically still at the school, he was the offensive coordinator and everything. I played defense, so, like, once I got to the school, weirdly, I didn't, like, talk to him, as much anymore. Um, but like he was a big part of my life, before that and everything. So, um, it still worked out for me, even though technically he wasn't a big part of my life, once I got there and
Mhm.
everything. So,
I
um,
think that's so important too because especially, you never met this person and it doesn't seem as though you regret your decision being there. You've stuck it out. You've been there the whole time. You seem pretty happy with the way things are going now. But I think it just goes to show it's like not the place, it's the people, right? The people that you meet. You could go tour every school probably, but you just know, right? You just get that gut instinct and a feeling when someone when you believe
Mhm.
in, you know what I mean? And do that. So I
Yeah.
think that's cool 'cause I think that's a good reminder too that we can lead people to Christ just on our enthusiasm and our how we make people feel, you know?
mhm.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So, probably a lot, I don't want to say easier or harder, but, being away from the area, being out on your own, having to live your faith out in the world as we know it, lots of things going on out there. Um, and we'll get to sports in a second and swimming and everything, but, how do you think your faith is, the last few years out kind of on your own in Maryland? I mean, do you find it pretty challenging? Got a good core group of friends out there? You guys can go to mass together or anything? I guess what's that all look like?
I think definitely going away helped me strengthen it. I always knew that I wanted to go away. Obviously, when I first left, I left early my freshman year, like about a month earlier to go to like a program to get more like college credit. So I was living my like senior year of high school, like summer, trying to do all of these things. And then I was just like, okay, you have to leave. And my dad coaches high school golf, so he couldn't move me in. So my mom had to do it, but then she had to get back for work. So she just left. And I was like, I need to find something that's a constant. So that's when I was in a relationship, but I started, looking more into like groups and kind of realizing like what was going to be that constant. And it was kind of, it fell back to my faith because I had lacked a little bit my senior year of high school. And then kind of as I've gone through these last couple of years, the challenges, I've found like good friends and I kind of been put in situations where it's really opened up my eyes. I met these two girls and they're like really into their faith and they kind of were like, just come back to church, like just come back. And I didn't really like leave the church. I just wasn't as consistent as I normally was. And they were like, okay, we're going to meet for mass. Because on Sundays, we have like our church, it's called the Chapel of the Immaculate Conception. So the IC is just the abbreviation. They're like, we're going to go to IC. Mass is either 11 a.m. or 7 p.m. They're like, we'll go at 7 after dinner, whatever. And it kind of just brought me back. And so now it just is a constant in our group chat to be like, okay, are we going to 11 or are we going to 7? Or are we going to go to 9 o'clock seminary mass? Or are we going to go to mass at the grotto? Or are we going to go to mass and then, go get coffee and like read scripture. Just kind of it's just grown and it's even my friends have been like, wow, like you've really changed like since where you were freshman year because freshman year was arguably like the first semester was like my most difficult, just mentally challenging. Academically I was like having a lot of fun and then athletically too, I was like learning the ins and outs of the season. But like, mentally, it was extremely difficult because it had finally hit me that I was away from my family. Like, it's what I wanted, and I was like, "Oh, this is what I wanted," but then I was like, do I really want this? Like, is this really where I'm supposed to be? Like, I started questioning everything, and I started questioning, like, why I was swimming and if I was just on the right path, and then it's just I had that thing where I was like, "Oh, I should just go home." Like, if I go home to YSU, like, all my problems are gonna be solved, and if I go to Ohio State and I do this and that's how everybody is, and I'm gonna have that life, and it just my faith was the thing, and I was like, "No," like, my parents kept saying to me, like, "Something's calling you to be here, like, you're supposed to be here, you were led here, you're being taught things, you're receiving blessings, you're being changed, like, you just need to stick it out," and then my faith has just gotten super, super consistent since then.
That's a great story and rundown, and it's hard to obviously summarize what your 2 3 years, right, in a few minutes. But I think you did a great job there, kind of questioning those first few months, and which is don't beat yourself up for it. We would say is we would feel that can be pretty normal in a lot of ways, kind of a culture shock, different area, different people. But it's, I think it speaks to the power of like friendship and companionship, having others that can lift you up and, surrounding yourself with a great support system. And now you guys or girls have quite the variety on Sunday you can choose from, depending on, what you're
Still guessing, still keeping you guessing on what
yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
want
no,
dinner at
definitely.
mass, lunch at mass, their
Mhm.
breakfast,
I
coffee,
love that they
grotto.
just, like, assumed it too. They're like, "You're coming back with us."
That's
And
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, no, they definitely are like a big blessing in my life. And like we always talk about that because I was just going through like a breakup and just like something difficult. And I like needed that push. And I was trying to get it on my own because I just am like, I'm like, I can fix it. I can do it. I can like change. And then I was like, no, I need to just I need somebody. And then it was just, I don't know. Once I met them, I was like, wow, like this is they're like so refreshing to the soul. It's like really nice.
Everyone needs that. I like
Mhm,
that too though, because I know when you're young and you go away and there's a lot of different life changes and then you
mm,
throw a breakup in the mix, like it can be hard on any young woman, athlete or not, as far as like
mhm,
sorry, Ryan's women here, but like we beat ourselves up and we think it's us. Like I wasn't good enough. Something happened to me. It wasn't me, and then we try to fix ourselves or we could go out and try and find those voids in other areas. And so it's refreshing to hear that you had friends that were like, instead of saying, "Hey, let's go out to the bar and do shots, forget about them," it was, "Hey, come to mass and coffee and
uh-huh.
scripture."
Oh,
So
that's a friend.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Me wrong. Like we would go out the night before. Like I don't
Okay.
I drive, like I'm the driver all the time
Oh,
because I
good.
just don't partake in that. It's not my thing. But
Yeah.
then if I went to bed, 2, 3 o'clock, just by the time we got back, we would be like, okay, we're all getting up. By the grace of God, we all made it to 11
See?
o'clock now.
I love it.
Dude, that's like the biggest win if you're a college athlete. Like, I feel like that's honestly the biggest win is doing it no matter what. Cause I think that trap right there, that little decision and commitment, I think
It's
can
true.
totally, I think it's important because I think that can totally like keep someone on the path for Christ or like bring them away and like
Yeah.
slowly,
Yes,
dive
so
into
true.
more worldly
And
stuff. That little discipline, not little, big discipline of, waking up on Sunday mornings, even if you're up till
even
3
after a
a.m.,
night, yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
do it, still gotta do it. And,
Mhm.
so that's very impressive. I have a lot of respect for people
Yeah.
that do that. So
Listen, we used to be able to do that too when we were when we were young.
I don't
Now
even know what 3 a.m. looks like anymore.
nowadays, it's like
Yeah.
9,
Oh,
8, 9 PM, and I'm like, "Oh, man, I am"
It's usually 8 p.m.
Okay.
For
I was
you.
trying to make myself sound a little cooler, but yeah, he's right.
no,
He's right. That's about
I go
right.
to bed early every night. I'm asleep by like 9:30 because I have to be up early, and my friends make fun of me all the time. But I'm like, no, I need to go to bed. Like I need to be in bed. I love going to sleep. It is so nice.
It's one of my favorite things.
That's That's funny. I mean, either we'll get all ambitious too, like me and Aaron, like, oh, when the kids are asleep, you want to watch a movie or whatever. And it'd be like, if it's like 9 o'clock and we haven't started the movie yet, we're just like, I don't
Let's do
think,
it next weekend.
yeah, I don't think we can stay up for this. um,
That's okay.
anyways,
Grandma
yeah,
used to always say anyone up past 10 was up to no good, so
the
My
longer you
mom
live, the more
said
you
that
kind of
too.
realize that.
yeah, it's true.
Um, anyways,
And I love too how supportive your parents seem as well too, like, just
mhm.
being able to, like, keep you let
Yes,
you know
because
you're
it
there.
was definitely we always talk about it just because of like where I'm at. Like I'm gonna finish in 3 years, and they're like,
Mm,
This the difference when you came home first semester your freshman year." They were like, "It was extremely difficult for us." My
mhm,
parents they both work. They're both very busy. So I kind of grew up with like my dad being gone, coaching, teaching lessons. My mom works full-time job. So just being like everybody being on their own was normal. And then for them, me going away
mm.
and struggling and them trying to, also live their lives. Like I put them through so much and I was putting myself through a lot, but they're my parents. They like put me
That's
on
your
this
job.
earth. But they feel it. Like my mom would
Yeah.
call me after like, she would know I had a bad day without even me saying anything, and she'd be like,
Mm.
"I like, is something wrong? Like, something's wrong, like, you're struggling, I can tell," like, they knew, and then once I started to kind of figure everything out, they've even noticed for themselves, they're, like, more relaxed, they're like, "Okay, you're fine, like, we know you're okay," like, they're like, "It's hard." They're sending their only daughter
Yeah.
4.5, 5 hours away to a different place on my own, and they're, like, not used to that, and then they're, like, trying to make sure that they're still living their lives because it's their
Yeah.
first time living too, so,
It's an
you know.
adjustment for everybody.
Mhm.
They've probably been praying a lot more too since you've been
Oh,
gone.
yeah. My
They're
mom and I, will send each other, like, Bible verses back and forth, or we'll see
aw.
something, or she'll send me usually stuff before I swim, and she'll be like,
Mm,
"Just relax, like, you're okay, like, this is what, like, I've been thinking about," or, um, I also just being in a Catholic university, you have, theology is integrated into your stuff, and just bringing up those topics is normal. So
mm,
every time, like, I would have classes, I'd be like, "Guess what I learned? Like, guess what I learned? Like, we just dove into this in the New Testament. Like, guess what I learned? Guess what I learned?" And I would just sit because after my, like, one of them was a night class, and she would be my mom goes to bed early, so I'd have to, like, watch because sometimes she wouldn't answer because 'cause she'd be asleep. But I would, like, text her and I'd be like, "Yeah, I learned this," and it just, like, that kind of started to, like, ease everything too, because then we would just get into conversations about that. Because I was lucky I grew up, like, that was normal conversation. It wasn't
yeah.
weird talking about faith or being kinda, like, shutting it down or avoiding it. My mom would be like, "No, like, this is my take on it, like, this is how I interpret it," because everybody's interpretation is different, so.
I love it, and I'm sure she doesn't mind waking up to those, like, that's the first thing she sees when she wakes up are these things that you sent her after your class. I'm
Mhm.
curious too now that I'm thinking about it too with your parents, especially your dad, right? You growing up being an athlete and swimming and golfing and everything. How did it like help having a cuz it's one thing most kids grow up maybe they have parents that can guide them in their faith. Maybe they have parents that can guide them from a coaching athletic standpoint, but you kind of had both, I guess, and your dad. So like was there anything that stuck out to you as far as like lessons you learned from like having living with somebody who coaches kids daily and also has those same, like, values, I guess, his
I
Christian.
would say probably patience and grace
Mm.
is the biggest takeaway from both of us because I would play so many golf tournaments all the time. My dad and I would travel like it was our thing. Well, obviously he was my caddy, and there was sometimes not be that differentiation between father-daughter and coach and student. So
Yeah.
I would, like, quote, unquote, "fire him" because I would lose my patience and I would get all mad. I'd be like, "Oh, dad, like, what are you doing?" And he would be like, "Okay, like, go and do it on your own. Figure it out on your own. Like, you gotta figure it out." He's like, "You have to learn patience. Like, it's a gift." He's like, "You have these God-given talents. Like, you're able to play like multiple sports, like you have to understand that, but he's like, you have to understand the other gifts. Like you need patience in certain situations and you need to give yourself grace. You can't be a perfectionist. There's one perfect person on this planet that everybody knows, and like you can't, as much as you want to strive towards it, you're never gonna fully be able to reach that. So he's like, you have to give yourself patience. You have to, and that was probably looking back after the numerous disagreements we had and arguments and silent car rides home and just notes that were being written down like you need to fix this and fix that. It was always like I took away the fact I needed patience and I'm so glad that I like went through all those
Yeah.
like problem areas because it just now I have patience in certain situations. I'm like, oh, it reminds me of it. I'm like, oh, I need to just slow down and be here and be present and realize that like life is gonna work itself out and I can't just, jump to conclusions and get all mad and yeah, I need to like relax and kind of channel it and be like, it's okay, like you're fine, like things are fine. But yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Are you laughing because I need to learn that
Well,
yet?
I what I wanna do is, like, I wanna clip these last 2 minutes and, like, put it on your alarm. Like,
I'm gonna wake
maybe
up to your voice, Madison, teaching me to have patience.
you need to listen to that every day.
Ah, we all still
So,
learn. We're
I'm
all
just
still
kidding.
learning, I'm a little
I'm just
behind. I'm a slow learner in
I'm
that,
just
I guess.
kidding.
Well, I think golf though, like it does require patience because that's something I did one golf outing this last fall, and the first
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie,
I wish I could have seen
like
that.
after the 8th or ninth hole, I was like, we're only halfway done. Like, I'm ready to be done. And it was so frustrating, but I do see why people like that. You just get one good, like, connect, and it's like, it feels
Mhm.
good.
Feel like you can do it every
Yes.
time then? You're
Yeah,
like,
and then
Yeah.
the next one, it's
so
like
the next 20 are just like,
Well,
"Oh,
that's what the struggle is. You want to be a perfectionist. Like I
yes.
see it in myself. Like I want every single thing. You are looking for the perfect round or the perfect shot, the perfect, impact. And it just shows you like you can't have that. It's like one in every couple shots or one in every like couple rounds. Everything is gonna come together. But even then you're still gonna have a mistake. You're still gonna have because you just can't fully be like, perfect. So it just,
Dang.
like, teaches you like, golf my dad always he's like, "Golf is the game of life." Like, it teaches you so much, and you have, like, no idea how much it can, like, influence your life.
The thing about golf too that maybe that's just an Aaron thing, so correct me if I'm wrong, but as a life comparison, half the time, I don't even know what I'm shooting at. Like, I can't even see what am I aiming at? And they're like, it's like past that yellow thing up there. And like, I don't know if it's just me that can't find where it is, but I feel like, yeah, how am I supposed to be great at something if I don't even know the goal? Like, I can't even
Mhm.
line up straight. Do
we
you?
gotta, like, get you new contacts and
No,
stuff."
I just feel like it's just like sometimes the hole I felt like it's like, oh, across that pond next to that tree. And I'm like, how do you?
Just hit it that way where the trees aren't.
I know. I
Yeah.
tried. I lost a few balls that round too, that one. I found some, but
Well, let's
sorry.
transition
Yeah.
now. I'm sure everyone listening is just like, "All right, guys." Um, let's talk about who is perfect, Jesus,
Mhm.
right? And,
Pretty perfect.
maybe how he applies the sports, for you, in your case of, like, swimming and everything. I know, you were mentioning you're doing the sign of the cross and everything, before going up on the what's it called?
The board?
The
The
block.
board? The block?
Block?
Okay.
Block.
Yeah, before, like, going up there and stuff. So, um, how else?
I'm sure it probably
Big or small? There's, like, no right or wrong answer, of course, but, like, how else would faith play a part in, like, either practicing, pre-race, post-race, during the race? How
especially now since it sounds like you got teammates that are strong in their
Um,
faith
you
too.
know?
I would say probably during practice. I You were obviously staring at a black line for hours on end, so you're stuck with yourself and your thoughts, and obviously you're gasping for air, you're pushing your body to its limits. I actually found myself last week because I had a double on Friday right after finals week, and I
And
was
what's a
right
double?
like, we had practice in the morning and then practice at night,
Oh, okay, okay.
doubled.
Got okay.
Now I
So
get
I'm sorry, I forgot to clarify. So I was with my friend and we were doing this set at night and we were right at the end and I found myself in my head, I was like, "You're okay. Like God would not put you through this if he didn't see you like finishing the set. Like you're okay." Like, because I was just so mentally we came back from a meet in New York, or mid-season, which is kind of where you just get up, race, you see where you're at. We were fortunate enough to be in New York City right around the holidays, so which was
Oh,
really, really
cool.
cool. My parents came to visit, it was really nice, but we had gotten back, missed the first day of finals, so everybody's scrambling, a million projects due, assignments due. I called my parents. I was like, I'm not going to be able to talk. Like, I'm going to be fine. But I just, even throughout that week, I just would read my Bible and I'd be like, you're okay. Like, you're okay. Like, Jesus is going to help you through this. Like, you're fine. Just relax. Like, the patience thing. Like, I just wanted to be done. Like, I was like, okay. Then I wanted to make sure I didn't put in like less effort just because I wanted to be done. But then when we got to the practices, because notoriously in swimming, Christmas break is the hardest time mentally and physically. You have no classes. All you're doing is training. You're training, training, training right before you are a couple weeks away from conferences, and I will just find myself during these practices just being here. It's like, okay, God's got you, Jesus has got you. Just talk to him. I will start talking to him like through the
Yeah.
sets. I'm staring at a black line, like I'm not looking at anything. I'm just thinking about everything and everyone in my life, and just especially him. And
Mhm.
that's probably like
That
practice. Yeah.
I like that, and in a way, I can't relate to swimming a ton other than just basic, you know.
Recreational
Yeah,
swimming.
um, but, I know what I'll try to relate it in the sense of running, how I ran, 2 marathons the last year or whatever, and you just kinda, like, get going, it's just, like, 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other, like, just staring at the black line, staring at the black line, can kinda get, boring in ways, but running can be therapeutic too, especially if you're praying while you're running and all that too. So, um, I don't know. Hopefully, you're probably a little bit more exhausted swimming, if I had to guess. So it might be
Oh, yeah,
tougher
because your
to.
face is in
I
water.
get it. I get
Oh,
it.
I
So,
I am exhausted after I run too. Like,
okay.
when I do it in the off season, I start questioning, like, why I did it in the first place. I'm like, "Why did I start running?" Like, I'm, like, equally out of breath. Like, in Orange Theory, when I run on a treadmill, my heart rate spikes, and they'll come up to me, and they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine, I think.
It's just
Like,
who I
this is
am. I just live my
normal."
life in the red.
Yeah, this is normal. We're okay. We're okay. Like,
To- yeah, I'd be curious, like, if Erin wore her heart rate monitor all day,
I
like,
would be in the
where'd
red
she
during the
be?
day because I'm just like, I need to breathe. So I'm gonna listen to Madison's episode every day
Yeah.
until I learn patience and just relax. And
Yes.
I always hear you say, "You're okay." So I gotta keep telling myself, "You're okay."
That that's great, and I love how you picked up a teammate too, like, God's got you, like, we can do this and everything, so that's great.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
what about, like, a Bible verse or anything? I mean, this isn't like football where you can paint anything on your, face
Yeah.
unless some people start doing that, I don't know. Um, yeah, what do you do? Your favorite Bible verse or, like, anything during meets besides maybe sign of the cross?
I
Um,
kinda I say a little prayer.
okay.
Before, like, when I'm, like, making the sign of the cross. I, unfortunately have, like, some shoulder problems, and last year was a year in which they were really difficult, and so my faith was probably the only thing that was getting me through. I kept telling myself, "I'm going through this season for a reason." Like, it kind of was a little bit of a setback. I didn't perform how I wanted to. But one thing, like, I have 2 Bible verses that I usually carry with me. Like, First Corinthians 13:14, or all let all that you do be done in love. My mom's big thing is love. She has stuff all over. My mirror back there is in the shape of a heart. She'll send me stuff. She loves that verse. I love that verse. There's like hearts all around here because she's just like, Jesus, they poured love into your heart. He loves you. He
Yeah.
died for you. Like, that is just the most incredible love that you can ever receive. And then I always do Psalm 37:4. So delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. I actually have it on my computer in a little
Do you?
bubble. That's why I was reading up there, because it's right there. And then, like, my background is a picture of me and my, like, roommates. Like, we have a cute little thing, but it's just that little reminder. So those 2 I probably would say I, like, see on the daily, like, all the time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. And I know swimming, it's individual, but a team, sport, in a lot of ways. I mean, how's the faith on the team? I know you mentioned a few, girls that, you partake in, your faith with. How's the team? I mean, does a team pray together? I don't know, anything like that or
We don't pray together beforehand, just because, like, the team is just a mix of different people, and that's one thing that's nice is, like, they're not gonna be like, "You have to do this." Like, you just because you're at a Catholic institution, like, you have to pray before this. Like, no, like, people do their, um, own things. Um, we're also just very supportive of each other. Like, we had some people 2 years ago go through RCIA. So we all showed up to
Oh,
mass on that Sunday. We were just all in, like, a big group, and we were, like, so excited.
right.
Um, but it's just we're lucky. So because we have the, seminary, the Mount St. Mary Seminary, we each team has, chaplains. So we have 3, and we have 2 of them lead the women's, team Bible study, and then one of them leads the men's, and then sometimes we'll do combined, but that's usually, like, right before church on, like, Sundays. So that's, like, a thing, and it's, like, not mandatory, but they're, like, encouraging us, and then one thing too, the sports chaplains always do things for, like, the entire athletics department so that you can talk about, Jesus, and you can, like, see other people from other teams, and you could talk to other chaplains, and you can
Mhm.
do whatever you wanna do. But, like, as a whole, it's just kind of you do what you're comfortable with, which is really nice because some of my teammates, were, like, extremely, like, committed to their faith, and that's just they have certain things that they do, and some people are on the complete other end where they are aware, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm not active in the church right now. That hasn't been my thing. I didn't grow up like that, but, all love and respect, everybody goes their own way."
I think that's fine too, because I think it's almost one thing when you do things because you want to do them, not because you know what I mean, your team is doing it, and then I think it gives more credibility, right? So if I'm that person in the locker room that maybe I'm not active in my faith and that's not my thing, but just seeing somebody like yourself when there people are watching, do you know what I mean? And then when they see like how consistent people are in their faith and just the kind of person that they are and how they do things with love and how they are, if it's not now, maybe later. Do you know what I mean? I
Uh-huh.
just think that
Yeah.
you're still setting that example and planting those seeds for teammates and for other people to
Mhm.
see.
Yeah.
And then it's not up to us when that happens for them, But so they're on their own journey, they're on their own story. I think what's amazing is, and what I'm hearing is it's not judging, right? Because I think the worst thing is to be like, "Hey, why don't you pray with me?" and like do this, and then you kind of push them away almost instead of just pulling them towards you by doing the right thing over time, even though you might not see it. Maybe you're someone's guardian angel. And then later in life, they're going to be like, I was in a locker room with Madison and she would pray and she would do this and all her own thing. And she was a kind person. And so I started reading the Bible. You never know. That could happen.
I think it, in a lot of ways is, too. I mean, just from the ripple effects of maybe the sign of the cross and stuff, something simple like that, can be something great that other people can, see and emulate and, see you live out, and not being scared to do it. I mean, as simple as it is, I mean, still people are, scared to do the sign of the cross in public, right? You shouldn't be, by,
Yeah.
in any way. So, um, well, that's great. And then I know you mentioned probably the hardest part of your faith journey was your freshman year, right? Was
Mhm.
there any other times in sports where you like thought about giving up swimming, or was it mainly that freshman semester
It
coming
was,
in?
probably freshman yeah, 1st semester freshman year, and actually last spring, so this earlier this year, I hit another, like, pretty low point, just, dealing with injury. I just didn't understand, like, what was causing this, like, just not really the injury, but the kinda, like, downfall of it all. I just was not in a good place, but I don't know, I think going through my freshman year definitely helped me in the spring because I just made sure that, I stayed consistent with it, which it pulled me right out of it.
Mhm.
So,
Good.
Well, no, I would say that's important too. Is obviously like it's wild, like right, like that freshman year probably didn't feel very good, but it just gave you it was leaving you a clue for later in life that you would need to know this experience and lean on it and know you're okay. And that you can get through that. And I don't know, I feel like a common theme I don't know, Ryan, that you noticed too when we talk to some collegiate athletes are those injuries. You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes for that first time,
Mhm.
it's something you can't control, because most athletes, right, are just built different. You work not that other people don't work hard, but I'm just saying, like, you're so focused and wanna work hard and be the best and do everything that you can to continue and grow, and when things like an injury happens, all of a sudden, it's like, I literally can't do the workouts I can do right now, like, I can't all the things
Right.
you used to be able to control, you no longer can, and that's when we have to really, not trust our own understanding, right? Or try to have our own, um, we gotta let go, you know?
Let go, let God. Um,
Easier said than done.
yes. So it sounds like, you've done that, to the best of your abilities and everything. So what's next for you? It's December, it's Christmas break. You're in season.
Yeah.
How's that work? But you're home?
You've asked 6 times already.
I am in
Oh, I
season.
thought you asked how the season works.
No.
Yeah, like after finals week, we don't really get breaks in the first semester. Like I had a few days off for Thanksgiving and then I had to go back and swim. I had a few days off for like our we have a fall break and we're like fortunate enough that it's a week, but I only had 3 days off and I was training the entire time. So this is just kind of the time where we go home. You're still training on your own. You're just everybody, is in their own different points. And then we'll come back and then leave for a training trip, which is in Florida. So that's kind of where
Smart.
I'm at now. That's in first week, couple weeks in January. We come back, start the second semester, and then we have basically like a month, and then the season's over.
Okay. So that's it's extensive, training, lots of travel, which can be fun. Yeah. In a
Yes.
lot of ways too. So,
A lot of
um,
endurance.
yeah. So are you just sticking with the 50, the 100 and 200 freestyle this year? You trying anything else or?
I like sometimes throw in different things. I talk to my coaches all the time. I'm constantly adjusting my training, constantly adjusting what events I'm doing. Those are just the main three. You usually pick meets are 3 to 4 days. So the first day I will do the 50. The second day I will do the 200. The last day I'll do the 100. And obviously there's like different events on different days and you kind of go through like trial and error of what three you want to do. But those are kind of just what I got recruited for, kind of what I've stuck with. I kind of tried new things freshman year and I had fun with them, but then I just ultimately I fell back to
Well,
this.
I had no idea they were that many days long. I
yeah, me
mean,
neither. I thought it was just like a
They're
like a track meet. It was
yeah.
just like a
they
few
are
hours.
like fairly draining. When I swam a couple weekends ago in New York, I think I had 10 races in 3 days. So
Goodness.
it was a lot on my body. I was definitely feeling it afterwards.
I feel like
Well,
that's something wild too with like swimming because it's like gun goes off, you go do your thing, however long it takes, and then you're done. Where you
Mhm,
know what I mean? Like to just mentally
and
get
you
ready,
like
right? It's not like
train
a
for
game like
hours.
basketball, like you're playing a couple hours, it's just like
mhm.
That's crazy. Like,
keeping yourself ready. You
is
gotta
that
stay
weird?
ready.
Like training, what, 8 hours a day? All right. What's a long training day hours wise for you?
Like, for me, probably, like, 4 to 5 is,
Four to
like,
five?
long. Yes.
That's
Um,
crazy. And the
mhm.
race is like, what,
I don't know
a
how long that
minute?
It just
takes.
depends on what you're doing. So the 50 is, like, I don't know, 22 to 24 seconds. The 200 is, like, a minute and 50 to, like, 2 minutes, and then 100 is, like, 50 seconds. So you're putting like hours of work in for just something really quick that like spikes your heart rate and then you're
Mm.
done. That's why it's like extremely demanding, I would
Yeah.
say, like mentally and physically
So you gotta
because
be
it's just
like on it, like on
mhm.
it. Like when it's
Yes.
time to go, you can't be like, dude,
There's no that's not the warm up.
yeah,
That's not
it's
the
just like,
Yeah, you gotta
um,
be ready.
yeah, yeah, no like do overs and like
I would be
that's
too.
crazy.
I would false start all the time, I have a feeling if I was
So
I don't know, I just feel like I'd have too much like I'd just be
yeah.
ready.
Oh, it's one thing when you, like, are learning when you're, like, on the block and you're, like, because right before the horn goes off, you could, like, hear a pin drop anywhere. It just goes dead silent, and you have to make sure that your body is, like, completely still. Like, you twitch your arm, like, you go like this or like, toes go up, they will, like, call you. So that
Really?
and then if your start is like, slow, if your turn is off, if you take a breath when you're not supposed to, well, A, your coaches are gonna be mad, but B, it just that stuff in, like, hundreds of seconds, you just could be, like, off. Because if you miss, like, a cut time, because in swimming, like, cut times are big things, like, if you hit a certain point, obviously, you qualify for certain meets and you go here and you go there, but if you're off by, like, point oh 0.01, they're like, "You're off by point oh 0.01." It doesn't matter. You should have gone faster, like, that's just what they tell you, like better luck next time. Like, you
There's
can't get a
no
do
rounding
over.
up in swimming.
Nope. Just if you're like wanna break 20, like, if you're a guy and you wanna break 20 seconds in the 50 and you're like 20.01, they're like, "Well, okay, like, you're 20.01, like, should've been 19.99, like like, better luck, like, try again." But it's like
Oh,
That's that's crazy, and I don't wanna get too into the weeds of swimming, but just c you're really
I
curious and
love that.
everything. So, like, you have to be, like, really big on technique then. I mean, when you're doing 4 or 5-hour training days, like, are coaches constantly, like, looking at you like, "Arm in," or whatever
oh,
it is?
I yeah, I would say so,
You know?
I'm lucky I'm, like, close with my coaches, and, we actually got, like, a new staff this year, and I really like them. The team really likes them, like, they adjusted really well to all of us, and we're a crazy group, like, we're all a bunch like, we're like one big happy family is, like, what
Mhm.
we say when we take our group pictures. We're like, "Let's act like one big happy family
Mhm.
together." Um but they're constantly looking at different times, some practices early in the morning, like, they'll pull you aside, and they'll be like, "Hey," they call me by my last name, so they call me Murph. They're
Mhm.
like, "Hey, Murph, like, like, keep your head tucked," or, like, "Watch your arm," or "Do this," or "Don't breathe here." Actually, like, I was doing a practice a couple weeks ago right before I left for midseason with my, head coach, and I spent an extra 45, 50 minutes just working on my start, literally working on taking my body because when your start's like obviously it's like your track start, but you're just raised up. So I was working on taking my body from here to here. Like the slightest, like I was watching video and he would go back and forth. And he'd be like, on this one, your knee moved before your hands moved. And on this one, your body moved together. And this is where you have to be. So it's like the smallest adjustments literally took I was there for an extra, like, 45 minutes watching, like, the film, like a 10-second video of me doing a start over and over and over and over and over again.
That's crazy.
Wow, but that's what it takes. It's
It
those little
does.
things, and it's
I
nice to have a coach that can walk you through those and
I love how, like, detail-oriented that is, because from someone not familiar with swimming too much other than just the recreational stuff and seeing it in the Olympics, right? Um, there's, like, details and everything, but just the littlest things of, what can shave off that 100th of a second,
Mhm.
and everything. So, lots of details there, and I'm sure that takes lots of discipline and, humbling yourself, to receive the coaching and
Yeah.
we're sure obviously the faith upbringing and your active faith life obviously helps with receiving the coaching, implementing um whatever techniques you need. So um, as we bring this in for a landing, kind of want to just, give the floor to you. Like we have been. I know you kind of went over a few things already, but just anything you want to share for Christian athletes, Christian, swimmers in general, 15-year-old Madison, what you would tell her, anything at all you'd want to leave a message for a Christian athlete, what would you say to them?
Um, Probably just to be I would just say be, like, yourself and allow your faith to just, like, shape your life. I mean, it truly changed mine. I was in a pretty dark place freshman year. I thought that everything obviously was fine. I was struggling. I was like, "Oh, it's like it's okay." Because I notoriously will always have people like they're like, "Oh, are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm okay." And it just or if I am sick or injured, I'm like, "I'll be fine. Like I'm gonna be okay. Like I know I'm gonna be okay." And then I started realizing that was like rooted in my faith. Like I am gonna be okay because I have like I can talk to Jesus and I know that he's gonna like walk me through it and tell me that I'm gonna be okay. And then especially going through a breakup was exactly what like led me back into being like extremely consistent with it. Cause I was just in a super like dark place. I just didn't know really what happened. Like I went through it by myself. I did it. I made the decision. I had gotten out of practice and I had talked to my dad on the phone. It was super early in the morning. I was like, I need to do this. This is what the best decision is for me. Like, I just know that this isn't it right now. And I made the decision. And then I didn't, because where I was in the season, I wasn't gonna see my parents for another, like, couple months, and I was like, "They're the only people that I need right now, but I need to, like, be strong enough to do this on my own," and that's kind of what led me, and I was like, "Okay." I talked to Jesus, and I hadn't gone in the chapel in a long time, and I, like, sat there by myself for hours on end, and I was like, "Is this the right thing to do? Am I, like, crazy? Am I just, like, in my head? Should I come home? Should I do this?" And then once I got out of that and I kinda got my message and, like, I met the girls that, helped me get back into it, that second semester, I was, like, a completely different person. Like, I came back, I was, like, refreshed. I immediately told my parents, I was like, "We're going back to church, like, we're going, like, we're getting up." Not that they, like, hadn't been going, but they were, like, so excited that I was just, like, on top of it. Like, I was like, "Alright, we're leaving at this time. We're going to church, like, we are gonna be present, like, we are going to be there." And then I also, because of the girls that I met, like, in their connections, I was fortunate enough, I got to spend the day in DC with some seminarians at Catholic University, and we were walking in the National Mall, and they were like, "Be open and honest with us." And I was like, "Okay." And I dumped my entire life story out. I dumped the breakup out, and I was crying with them, and they were like, "Jesus loves you, like, he's there for you, you need to talk to him." Like, that was definitely, like, a turning point. That was, like, in August, September of 2024, again, where I was like, "Okay, like, I'm gonna start to really take this seriously. I'm gonna start to get more involved." Like, that was it for me. Like, I needed that another push where I was like, "Okay, like, you just be starting to really make it my center point." And, after that, I just started attending things and, talking to my friends about it, and, they were just like we all started to, get more involved together, and then, I don't know, I would just with how, like, crazy swimming is and just the time, like, the only constant is, like, just Jesus, and that's the thing that I love about it, is, like, then I started to, because I didn't have a Bible. Like, my mom had a Bible, and she would read it, and I would look at it when I was younger, and I would flip through it, and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, like, this is so cool." And then my dad would tell me stuff, and I'd be like, "Okay." And then it was some point last year, I came home and I was like, "I'm gonna go buy a Bible and some highlighters." And my parents were like, "Okay." Like, "Okay." Like, "You okay." And I just literally now, I, like, highlight a verse daily. Like, I'm rereading Romans right now because I, like, connect with my friends on it, and they pray about stuff, and I'm, like, fortunate, like, one of my good friends, he plays basketball, and he was like, um I, like, noticed that I, like, kinda fell off of it again, like, actually within the last month, I, like, didn't pick up my Bible once, and he was like, "Reread Romans, like, do it, just do it." And he's like, "It's beautiful." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna restart there," and then I literally, like, every single night, I will read a couple chapters, and I'll, like, analyze it, and I'll, like, talk about it. And then I was just, like, realizing that it's so refreshing, it just makes me happy, and that's what I'm like, once you find that, it's like the same feeling that you get when you're working out. It's like it's addicting. You don't wanna let it go. So I'm like, "Why am I gonna stop and, like, let go of something that's, like, making me feel good inside?"
And you light up when you talk about it.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's the we need to re-listen to that a few a
Yeah,
few times too, along with the whole patience talk earlier here. So that's an awesome
yeah,
testimony
it is.
with that. Even going back to like how you're spending like hours in the chapel, and it reminds me of like Jesus going into the desert to pray. Before
Yep.
every it's just like you got to make time. You got to go pray. Be by yourself and pray. So that's awesome. Christ, you were saying, is like the only constant.
Yeah.
And I love how you have these friends, again, another friend, hey, get back into Romans, read
Yeah.
it and stuff. So it's awesome that you're surrounding yourself with great people there. So um, well, this has been awesome and very fun and insightful, Madison. You've shared a lot of great pieces and, an inspiring story in a lot of ways, and, words of wisdom to follow Jesus and, apply it to sports. And, and everything. So, yeah, it's been a blast having you on here. So, you have any other questions, Erin?
I don't have any other questions. I just appreciate you taking time to share with us because I know every story matters. And, the more we can keep hearing story, right? Like all of us have our own story. You're going through everything you're going through for a reason, and you've been handed, right? Like all those people that are in your life right now that are guiding you back to the Bible when we kind of fade off and wonder why we ever stopped, and keeping those people around, and that you're that person for other people. And our whole goal and hope with this podcast is that the more other young athletes can hear stories of other struggles and testimonies of other athletes, that it would continue them to bring Christ alive in their sport as well. So I appreciate you sharing your story with us because I know we're inspired, and I'm sure it'll inspire others listening as well.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah, way to be bold, Madison. So, all right, we'll bring this in for a landing.
You gonna pray
As
for
we
us?
pray, I am,
Okay.
yes. All right. God, thank you for this amazing day. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for the opportunity to live, love, grow, give, and serve our gifts for the greater good of this world. Please help us be all we were created to be. Help us be holy. Help us be saints. Please bless Madison. Please bless her on her swimming journey and at her time at Mount St. Mary's. And please bless the rest of her swimming season. Bless her teammates, her coaches, obviously her parents as well. And please shine your light upon her and allow you to work through her so she could spread the gospel in everything she does. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All
Amen.
right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Madison, for coming on. All right,
Guys,
everyone. Thanks. He has, yes, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have an amazing day. We'll talk to y'all later.